38 million Americans have diabetes. 98 million more are pre-diabetic. Most have no idea. And there is one food sitting in almost every kitchen cabinet in this country that research shows can lower blood sugar, drop cholesterol, and protect your heart. Millions of people stop eating it because someone told them it was fattening. That single piece of bad advice may be costing lives. Today I'm going to show you 7 ways this food protects your body. And if you are on blood thinners or metformin, there is something you need to hear first. I have spent over 2 decades in emergency medicine. And one of the most frustrating patterns I see is people avoiding the very foods that could keep them out of my emergency room while loading up on supplements that do almost nothing. So let me walk you through the 7 benefits, real research, and a few things that genuinely surprise me. Before I start, what country are you watching from? Drop it in the comments. I am curious how far this one travels. Now, the food I am talking about is beans, legumes, lentils, chickpeas, black beans, kidney beans, pinto beans, the entire family. And before you roll your eyes, stay with me, because what the research shows about this food is extraordinary. And most of it never makes it into a 7-minute doctor visit. Here is what I want you to understand. First, a single half-cup serving of cooked beans gives you roughly 8 grams of protein, 8 grams of fiber, and only about 100 to 130 calories. The recommended daily fiber intake is 25 to 30 grams. One serving of beans covers almost 1/3 of that in one meal. Think about that for a moment. And here's why that matters more than you think. The CDC estimates that fewer than 1 in 10 Americans actually meet their daily fiber requirement. For adults over 60, it is even worse. Roughly 60% of older Americans are fiber deficient. That is not a minor nutritional gap, that is a crisis hiding in plain sight. And it connects directly to the first benefit I want to show you. Benefit number 7, your gut. And I do not mean just constipation. Your gut controls far more than digestion. It influences your immune system. It communicates with your brain. It affects your mood, your inflammation levels, your risk of colon cancer. Your gut is an organ that talks to every other organ in your body. Beans contain something called resistant starch. Here's what that means. Most starch gets broken down and absorbed in the small intestine. Resistant starch does not. It passes through intact all the way down to the large intestine where trillions of beneficial bacteria are waiting for it. Those bacteria ferment that starch and produce a compound called butyrate. Now, pay close attention to this. Butyrate is not just fuel for your intestinal wall cells. It does something remarkable at the molecular level. It inhibits enzymes called histone deacetylases, which in plain language means it switches on anti-inflammatory genes that were sitting dormant. A 2019 meta-analysis published in The Lancet, looking at over 240 studies in 4.6 million participants, found that higher fiber intake was associated with significantly lower rates of colorectal cancer. Beans are one of the most concentrated sources of the exact type of fiber that produces butyrate. Think of it this way. Imagine your gut lining is a brick wall. Over time, inflammation loosens the mortar between those bricks. Butyrate is what repairs that mortar. It seals the gaps. It calms the inflammation, and it feeds the very cells that keep that wall strong. And this is where it gets really interesting. Your gut produces roughly 90% of your body's serotonin. That is a chemical that regulates mood, sleep, and well-being. When your gut bacteria are well fed, they produce more short-chain fatty acids which support serotonin production. I have had patients tell me they felt less anxious, slept better within weeks of adding beans to their daily meals. That is not placebo. That is the gut-brain axis doing exactly what the research predicts. But here is the catch. If you are on blood thinners like Warren, some beans, particularly dark leafy varieties, contain moderate amounts of vitamin K. That does not mean you cannot eat them. It means you need to keep your intake consistent from day to day so your medication dose stays calibrated. Talk to your doctor before making any sudden changes. Now, benefit number 6, blood sugar control. And this one matters enormously if you are over 60. Here's the reality. Nearly 1 in 3 Americans over 65 has diabetes. Another 1 in 2 has prediabetes. Those numbers come from the CDC, and most people with prediabetes have never been told. Beans have a glycemic index between 20 and 40. Compare that to white rice, which sits above 70. That is nearly double. But the mechanism is what matters. The soluble fiber in beans forms a gel-like substance in your intestine. That gel physically slows the absorption of glucose. Instead of a sharp spike that sends your blood sugar rocketing up and crashing down, you get a gradual, controlled rise. Steady energy, no crash. And here is a phenomenon most people have never heard of. It is called the second meal effect. When you eat beans at lunch, your blood sugar response at dinner is better too. The benefit carries across meals. A study published in the Archives of Internal Medicine took real patients with type 2 diabetes, not lab subjects, and added 1 cup of legumes to their daily diet. The result, their A1C dropped by an amount comparable to some first-line diabetes medications. No pills, no injections, food. Now I need to be clear. If you are on metformin or insulin, adding significant amounts of beans to your diet can enhance the blood sugar lowering effect. That sounds like a good thing. But if the drop is too fast or too steep, you could end up hypoglycemic, dizzy, confused on the floor. Start slowly, half a cup. Monitor your readings and tell your doctor what you are doing so they can adjust your dosage if needed. This is the part that changes everything. Benefit number 5, and this is the one I want you to really hear. Beans do not make you fat. Beans help you lose weight. Let me say that again. The idea that beans are fattening is one of the most stubborn, most damaging nutrition myths in this country, and it has cost people years of better health. Here is what actually happens. The combination of plant protein, soluble fiber, and resistant starch in beans creates one of the most powerful satiety signals your body can receive. Your stomach empties more slowly. Your blood sugar stays stable. And stable blood sugar means no rebound hunger 2 hours later. No reaching for crackers at 3 in the afternoon. No raiding the pantry before bed. A meta-analysis published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition tracked people who ate legumes daily. The finding, they lost weight without being told to cut calories. Their bodies did it naturally, because satiety is not about willpower, it is about biology. And beans speak your body's language. I know what some of you are thinking, but I gained weight when I ate beans. Here's the thing, you probably gained weight because of what you ate with the beans. The sour cream, the cheese, the white rice underneath. The beans were not the problem. The beans were the one thing on that plate trying to help you. If you are finding this helpful, hit like. It costs you nothing, but it tells the algorithm to show this to someone who needs it, and that matters. All right, benefit number 4, cholesterol. And the mechanism here is elegant. That same soluble fiber I mentioned, it does something else inside your intestine. It binds to bile acids. Bile acids are made from cholesterol. When the fiber grabs them and carries them out in your stool, your liver needs to pull more cholesterol out of your bloodstream to make new bile. The result, your LDL cholesterol drops. A review of 26 randomized control trials published in the Canadian Medical Association Journal showed that 1 daily serving of legumes reduced LDL by about 5%. Now, 5% might not sound dramatic, but here is how I think about it. Over a lifetime, 40, 50 years of 5% less LDL circulating through your arteries. That is plaque that never formed. That is a stroke that never happened. That is a heart attack that was never triggered, and it cost you nothing. No medication, no side effects, just food on a plate. Now, benefit number 3, blood pressure. And the mechanism connects directly to something happening in most Americans' bodies right now. Beans are rich in both potassium and magnesium. Here's why that combination matters. Potassium is the natural counterweight to sodium. It helps your kidneys flush excess salt, and it relaxes the walls of your blood vessels. Magnesium does the same thing through a different pathway. Together, they lower the pressure inside your arteries. But here is the part most people miss. According to the CDC, the average American consumes nearly double the recommended sodium and well under half the recommended potassium. That imbalance alone is enough to drive blood pressure up over time. Beans correct exactly that imbalance. One serving delivers a significant dose of potassium without adding sodium, assuming you do not drown them in salt. Now, this is critical. If you are taking ACE inhibitors or potassium-sparing diuretics for blood pressure, adding a lot of potassium-rich foods can push your potassium levels too high. Hyperkalemia that can affect your heart rhythm. This does not mean you cannot eat beans. It means start with modest portions and get your potassium levels checked at your next blood draw. Your doctor needs to know benefit number 2, and this one is about something happening inside your bones, your blood cells, and your nervous system that most people never think about. Beans are loaded with iron, folate, zinc, and B vitamins. But here's the detail most people get wrong. The iron in beans is non-heme iron, plant-based iron, and your body absorbs only about 5 to 15% of it. That sounds discouraging until you learn the trick. Vitamin C dramatically increases non-heme iron absorption. A squeeze of lemon, a side of bell peppers, tomatoes on top. These are not garnishes. They are absorption multipliers. And on the flip side, drinking coffee or black tea, right, with your meal blocks, that absorption, wait an hour. One more thing about nutrition. Beans are low in one essential amino acid called methionine, but rich in lysine. Grains are the opposite. When you eat them together, rice and beans, bread and lentils, you get a complete protein profile comparable to meat for a fraction of the cost. And now benefit number 1, the heart and longevity benefit. This is the one that pulls everything together. Lower cholesterol, controlled blood pressure, stable blood sugar, reduce inflammation, better weight management, healthier gut. Each of those on its own lowers your cardiovascular risk. Beans address all of them simultaneously in one food. A landmark study called Food Habits in Later Life followed elderly populations across 4 countries for decades. The single food most consistently associated with survival was legumes. Every additional 20 grams per day. Less than half a serving was associated with 7 to 8% lower risk of death during the study period. Let me tell you about someone. Her name is Gloria. She represents a pattern I have seen many times. Gloria is 68, a retired mail carrier out of Tampa, walked miles every day for 30 years on the job. Then she retired, stopped moving, started snacking. Within 2 years, her fasting glucose crept up to 122. Her LDL hit 168. Her doctor was talking about starting a statin and possibly metformin. Gloria did not want more pills. She asked me what else she could do. I told her about beans. Half a cup every day, soaked overnight, cooked in a pressure cooker, paired with brown rice or a slice of whole grain bread, no salt, garlic, cumin, a bay leaf. Week 1 was rough. She messaged me. The gas was embarrassing. I told her that is normal. Your gut bacteria are adjusting. Push through. Week 2. The gas settled down. Her energy felt more stable in the afternoons. Week 3, she checked her fasting glucose. 112, down from 122. She called me. She was cautiously excited. 3 months later, fasting glucose 98, LDL 141. Her doctor held off on the statin. Gloria told me something I still remember. She said, "I spent 30 years delivering other people's mail. Now I am finally delivering something good to my own body." Now, Gloria's results were on the better end of what I typically see. Not everyone responds as quickly. Some people take longer. Some see smaller changes. What matters is the direction, and the research backs up the direction consistently. Here is the protocol. And I want you to take this seriously because the details matter. Start with half a cup of cooked beans per day. Any variety works. Black beans have the highest antioxidant content. White beans have the most fiber and resistant starch. Pinto and kidney beans are excellent all-rounders. Soak them overnight, 8 to 12 hours, in plain water. Then drain that water completely and cook with fresh water. The soaking water contains oligosaccharides, the compounds that cause gas, and phytates that block mineral absorption. Draining it solves both problems at once. Use a pressure cooker if you have one. It breaks down the remaining gas-causing compounds better than regular boiling, and it makes the starch more digestible. Do not add salt during cooking. Season with garlic, onion, cumin, bay leaf, a pinch of turmeric. Add salt only at the end and keep it light. The goal is to let the food work for you, not against you. Pair beans with a vitamin C source at the same meal, lemon juice, diced tomatoes, bell pepper slices. This one simple step can multiply your iron absorption by 2 to 3 times, and avoid coffee or black tea within 1 hour of your bean meal. The tannins in those drinks bind to the iron and carry it right past you. Week 1, expect some digestive adjustment, more gas than usual. It is temporary. Your gut bacteria are shifting populations. The discomfort is literally the sound of beneficial bacteria multiplying. Week 2, the gas settles. You may notice you feel fuller for longer after meals, less snacking. Week 3 and beyond, this is where most people start to see measurable changes. Blood sugar readings stabilize, energy evens out. Some patients report better sleep. If you have gout, beans do contain purines that convert to uric acid, but plant-based purines are significantly less problematic than those from red meat. Still, adjust your portion size with your doctor's guidance. 1/2 cup of dried beans costs roughly 30 to 50. It makes about 1 cup cooked. That is a full serving of protein, fiber, and minerals for less than the price of a candy bar. You do not need expensive supplements to protect your health. You need the right food. Let me bring this all together. If you remember one thing from today, remember this. Beans are not a side dish. They are medicine that tastes like food. They lower your blood sugar. They drop your cholesterol. They protect your heart. They feed your gut. They manage your weight. They deliver nutrients. Most older Americans are missing. Today you have learned something that most people will go their entire lives without hearing clearly. You now understand not just what beings do, but why they do it. And that understanding puts you ahead of 90% of people your age. If you made it this far, type "I finished" in the comments. And share this video with one person, your mother, your father, your spouse, someone who stopped eating beans because they thought it was making them gain weight. That one share could change their trajectory. And here is something I did not cover today. There is one specific way of eating beans at a particular time of day that doubles their effect on blood sugar. That is coming in the next video. You are going to want to see that. Everything I share today is backed by published research, but your body is unique. Before making significant changes to your diet, especially if you are on blood pressure medication, blood thinners, or diabetes drugs, talk to your doctor. Bring the references in the description below. A good doctor will welcome that conversation. This is not about replacing your medical care. This is about adding something powerful to it. And beans, for a few cents a day, might be the most powerful addition you can